Namaskar, namaste, dear colleagues from India. I'm sending this little video because I know that you are struggling right now, the Indian government wanting to remove your licensing qualifications, and I wanted to share some experiences with you on why this really should not happen. For those who don't know me, I have been a licensed guide in Montreal for 27 years, 28 years if you count this year, although we're not working. And I have a background in media relation, event planning. I organize trips and many of the things that are related to the industry. But I have also been president of our local Tourist Guides Association. I've worked for the tourism office, airlines, hotels, and so on. And I was involved with the World Federation of Tourist Guides Association from 1997 to 2007 on the board, and then 4 years as president. I returned on the board from 2015 to 2019. And one of the reasons that our association joined the World Federation in 1993 while I was on the board here in Montreal is because our tourism office and city government who license us were going to deregulate us and remove our licensing. So I took a year and I started researching other cities and countries around the world that had qualification, training, licensing, and those that did not. And the ones that did not have licensing and certification had nearly 75% of unqualified illegal guides at that time doing tours. Now, it doesn't mean that in countries where we have qualification that there aren't, but there are far less because tour operators, tour agencies, and so on realize that there is a licensing of guides, there is a training, there is qualification, and the more that we repeat this to visitors and so on, the more it's important. The other thing that I also noticed is those regions and countries that didn't have qualification and training were often the ones where the guides were paid the least, that the guides were in fact sometimes paid small amounts of money, and they worked predominantly for tour agencies and tour companies. And there is a problem around the world of companies trying to undercut or lower the prices, and the tour agencies or companies, even if they pay guides less, they still charge the clients the same amount of money. So the bottom line is that their profit margins are what they want to bring up. So there is nothing more important than visitors having a great experience. And what's going to happen with COVID-19 once we start to recover from lockdown and from this complete stop of tourism is that the ones who are the first to be able to travel are, the ones that can afford it. The ones that are usually very frequent travelers and experienced travelers. And experienced travelers who like great experiences want to use a licensed professional guide. So I urge you all in India to work together. Everywhere around the world we have different views, different ways of working together, but for this one time, and I'll give you other examples, if everyone works together, your only goal and purpose is to ensure by lobbying, getting signatures, getting support for your cause. You do not want India to lose its licensing. The countries, as I said, in the regions that do not have licensing, it's a free-for-all. India is an ancient culture with a lot of things to do and see. It's not an easy place for first-time travelers to be able to travel. Nowhere in the world does the term facilitator exist, except someone who works in an office and facilitates meetings. So that means nothing to a traveler or a tourist. It means absolutely nothing to a visitor. The term or the word and the function of a tourist guide has existed since the beginning of time. Not in the way that we know it today. There may not have been qualifications, but Guides have been around, and it is one of the oldest professions in the world. By changing the name to facilitator, it only confuses things more for visitors and tourists, and that's not what we want. So I'm urging you to write to your MPs and explain to them how important this is. You're getting support from around the world. I'm doing my best to get signatures and support letters for all of you, and also some examples of things that have happened. I want to tell you a success story of how lobbying happened. In 2013, Quebec City, which is 3 hours away from where I live, and one of only 2 cities in Canada that has qualification training and licensing. In the beginning of January, I discovered that the mayor, the tourism authority in that city, were going to remove the licensing of Quebec City guides. Doing some research, we were trying to figure out why that happened. And the tourism office, as well as the city of Quebec City, got pressure from tour operators and tour companies in Toronto, in China and other places to remove the licensing because they did not want to be obliged to take a licensed guide. Now, Quebec City is a very unique little program where those like myself living in Montreal with language qualifications can get our licensing for Quebec City, especially when there is a lack of languages. So the main languages in Quebec City are English and French. So this is one thing. And so when we did a little bit of research, what I did is I got a media campaign together, and I asked colleagues from around the world and associations to sign petitions and signatures, which we then sent to the tourism office in Quebec City, which we then sent to the mayor of Quebec City, and he realized that there was a lot of lobbying. The next thing I did is I got a letter of support from UNWTO, the United Nations World Tourism Organization, as well as UNESCO. Because Quebec City, the whole city is a UNESCO protected city, and a UNESCO protected city with guide licensing and qualification. Once they received all of these letters, the mayor of Quebec City, as well as the tourism authority and the government, stopped deregulation, and it took less than 1 month because they could see that they were getting support from tourism industry, from tourist guides around the world, from international organizations, that their name was being put in the media, and that stopped. And this is what I would like all of you to work together to do. The word facilitator doesn't work, and I want to give you another example. I often work with Indian groups that travel here to Canada, and I end up doing the tours. Now, without naming any names of the company, they're not using professional tour managers or people who have experience working with tours or guides, but people who work in the offices that are sent with the groups. They have no knowledge. They don't know how to speak. They're unenthusiastic. They only care to finish the day. They have no information to give, and I've found that their lack of enthusiasm and wishing to get out of the day ended up giving that the clients, the guests who were traveling, did not have that great of an experience. So we, as tourist guides, we do it because we love it. We have a lot of knowledge to give. We take a lot of training. It costs a lot of money to become a guide. And of course, because of COVID, we have all been decimated. So it makes no sense for the Indian government to start training facilitators to replace guides, or even guides to be called facilitators, is as a way to lower the cost and price, because there is no work in tourism. So what are these facilitators going to do? Rather, I encourage the Indian government, the Tourist Guides Association to do what many cities have been doing now. Scotland has been doing it. Montreal has been doing it. New York has been doing it. The United Kingdom has been doing it, and they've been giving certification to guides on COVID safety, health, and so on, which is far more important to start up when tourism begins. Now, we're not going to have any great tourism coming up. Many of us have lost our income, if not all of it, so it doesn't really make any sense what the government is doing right now. And around the world, we also have upcoming emerging countries which are on the Silk Road, which are investing in training guides. Saudi Arabia, Iran, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Armenia have been doing their best to ensure that guides are trained, that there are qualifications, that there's licensing around the world. Another point that I want to make is that India, like Egypt, like Italy, like Greece, are ancient cultures. And all of the countries that are ancient cultures, like Cyprus, Egypt, India, and Greece, all have their tourism offices recognize the profession of tourist guides. They all have UNESCO protected sites. They all have training and licensing, which is anywhere from 2 to 4 years. And it makes no sense for the Indian government in the middle of a pandemic to start to change a definition in order to appease tour companies who basically their bottom line is to try and find ways not to hire a licensed guides. And so I urge you all to work together in the next couple of months, and I would like you all not only to sign a petition, write letters to your members of parliament. We have some examples for you to do. You're getting letters of support from around the world. I am using all of the knowledge that I have created in doing this lobbying over the years to help colleagues in India to do this. And I hope that you will all work together. I look forward to meeting you in a webinar and answering your questions as best I can. And I want to wish you all a wonderful weekend. And I want to thank everybody for taking the time to sign the petitions and to support every one of the volunteers that are working hard in order that the Indian tourist guides keep their licensing, keep their qualification, keep their training. Facilitators is not a word that exists, and if you want to give good hospitality, as India is known, we always, when we have visitors coming, we want to give them the best of what we had. It certainly is not a facilitator. Tourist guides are there to give visitors the most incredible experience imaginable, and we should continue to strive for that. There is an international community of guides that shares that, and I hope you will join it and discuss and share in whatever language you want in every topic. So with that, my dear friends and my dear colleagues, I wish you all a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to meeting you. Stay strong, work together, work as a team, and I want to say goodbye. Looking forward to meeting you very soon. À très bientôt. Bye.